Thanks for the thumbs up, Peggy. President Dickey, members of the faculty, my fellow graduates, I'm about to burst into tears, sorry. My fellow graduates, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. My name is Maura Griffin, and I'm a very proud graduate of the Bank Street Middle School Special and General Education program. That's correct, I teach middle school. My classroom smells like a combination of sweat and Axe cologne every day. And yes, I'm also a special and general education teacher. I teach in a collaborative team teaching, or CTT class, in the same school where I did my student teaching. Last June, I got to watch the first sixth graders that I worked with as a student teacher graduate from middle school. Walking down our auditorium aisle, they were beautiful. And the magnitude of being a special educator in a middle school really hits me when I think about graduation. Because statistically speaking, for a handful of those kids, that will be their last graduation. As a middle school teacher, part of what makes teaching adolescents so challenging is that this is the time of life where they are feeling immense pressure not to appear vulnerable or stupid, as they would say, in front of their peers. And while our job as their teachers is to provide them with safe spaces that will be great for engagement and risk-taking, we feel pressure too. Pressure to cover content, to prepare for state tests. I know that every age group sitting here today has their own unique pressures and challenges. But don't worry, in a 3-minute speech, I will not have you turn and talk about what your challenges are. Instead, I will share an anecdote about Charles. Charles was one of the first sixth grade students that I had the pleasure of working with. He had the kind of laugh that would make other people laugh. His voice was often heard shouting out enthusiastically and rather impulsively. He used to mix purple plaid pants with turquoise tops and looked totally amazing. He also had fairly significant expressive and receptive language disabilities, so his shouting out voice didn't always form complete thoughts. His writing was short, and maybe worst of all, devoid of the life that he brought to our room. One day, I was teaching a lesson using the text "The Skin I'm In" by Sharon Flake. The students were rapt. They were turning and talking about the essential questions. They were jotting notes in their graphic organizers. They were sharing their thoughts. It was really a dream come true, because by the time they were sent away to go work independently, they were ready to write. And then I saw Charles sitting in our meeting space, and he looked up at me and he said, "Wait, what?" It was that moment. Yes, many students were engaged that day, but Charles was not. And it was truly humbling. You know, I had thought that I had really gotten this engagement thing down, and then Charles threw me that curveball. Now, luckily that day, I did not meet his self-advocating question with an epic eye roll, nor did I say, "Are you kidding me?" Luckily, that day, I was an eager student teacher who had the presence of mind to pause and say back to him, "Wait, what do you mean, what?" That day, I had the clarity and humility to see Charles engaging in the curriculum by asking something of me, even though it was not what I wanted or expected. So what do I do to sustain myself given the pressures of day-to-day teaching in New York City? I reflect on that moment with Charles. I reflect on it often. It's easy for me to be self-critical and harsh about my mistakes. But where I think the hope for all students lies is in reflecting on that moment to see what went right. What did I do that helped Charles engage just enough so we could find a way to work together? Developing the positive side of self-reflection, a practice that Bank Street has helped me deepen, has been an extremely important skill because it has linked me to forgiveness. Forgiveness for myself for falling short. That type of forgiveness enables me to pick myself up and try again. But it's not easy. It's hard to move into forgiveness and into solutions for students. It's even harder to see a student saying, "Wait, what?" as a victory for engagement. We're all aware of the constant messages and statistics we get regarding failures in public schools, and of the kids, most of whom are kids of color, served within those schools. And as a white teacher working with predominantly kids of color, some of whom have disabilities, it can be very hard to negotiate those messages. But being aware of statistics fuels me to stay optimistic, to keep believing in the agency of my students' voices. I teach students. I do not teach statistics. I believe each student and I can find a way to engage together just so long as I stay open enough to the unexpected pathways that they point to. So, with forgiveness and optimism as your guide, what are the pathways that are open to you? Turn and talk. Thank you.